Everything you see in your world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. If you desire wealth, you must first become wealth in consciousness. The secret is not in chasing money, but in assuming the feeling of already possessing it. Do not wait for millions to appear before you feel rich. Assume the state of a millionaire now, and reality will align accordingly. Your imagination is the creative power that shapes your world. And what you persistently believe in will harden into fact. Act as if you have already won, and soon you will. Your imagination is the master key to all you desire. It is not a passive faculty, but the very power that creates your reality. What you consistently hold in mind, what you accept as true within, inevitably externalizes itself in your world. There is no separation between imagination and reality. What you assume to be true in consciousness is what you will experience in form. If you desire wealth, you must assume the consciousness of wealth. It is not a matter of chance, nor is it dependent on external conditions. It is a law, as certain as gravity, that what you believe with feeling will shape the course of your life. The error most people make is believing that they must first see their riches before they can feel wealthy. They look to their bank accounts, their circumstances, their current means, and determine that wealth is beyond them. This is the great illusion. The world you see is merely a reflection of past assumptions. It is the shadow cast by yesterday's beliefs. If you persist in believing yourself to be poor, struggling, or limited, then these conditions will continue to repeat themselves, no matter how hard you try outwardly. The truth is, your external world is not the cause, it is the effect. The cause is within you. To shift your reality, you must shift your assumption. Begin now to assume you are already a millionaire, not as a vague wish, not as a hopeful fantasy, but as a living reality within you. What does it feel like to have millions at your disposal? How do you walk, talk, and carry yourself when you know you are financially free? What decisions do you make when money is no longer a concern? Move into this state of consciousness and do not waver. Feel the security, the ease, the power of being wealthy, and let it saturate your entire being. The more natural this feeling becomes, the more effortlessly reality will conform. Doubt will come, the senses will contradict, and the logical mind will argue against this assumption. But you must persist. Every great transformation occurs first in the unseen before it solidifies into the seen. Your imagination is the divine force shaping your destiny, and it is only when you believe in the unseen more than the seen that miracles occur. Your wealth exists now, in the invisible realm of your consciousness, waiting to be expressed. Act as if you already possess it, not out of pretense, but out of faith in the law of consciousness. This is not a technique of mere positive thinking. It is the fundamental truth of creation. It's the creation of the self. Everything you have ever experienced was first an assumption you held, whether consciously or unconsciously. The power is always working, whether for riches or poverty, for joy or sorrow, for success or failure, according to the state you accept as real. If you desire a different experience, you must first embody it in imagination. And when your assumption becomes natural, when you no longer need to force it, but simply are that which you seek to be, reality will mirror your inner conviction. Test this for yourself. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, assume the feeling of being a millionaire. Feel the weight of financial abundance upon you, the certainty that your wealth is already secured. Let it become real in the depths of your being. As you persist in this state, you will find your world shifting. Unexpected opportunities, ideas, and circumstances will emerge to bring about the fulfillment of your assumption. Do not concern yourself with the how. That is not your task. Your only responsibility is to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing that imagination creates reality, and what you assume to be true will inevitably become your experience. The feeling is the secret. It is not the words you speak, nor the affirmations you repeat mindlessly, but the deep inner sensation that determines what you will manifest in your world. The feeling of wealth must saturate your being long before you ever see its physical evidence. You do not wait for riches to arrive before feeling rich. You feel rich first, and then the riches come. This is the great mystery of creation, hidden in plain sight, yet so often overlooked. Consider for a moment how naturally you accept the state you are currently in. If you believe yourself to be struggling, you feel it, and that feeling becomes your reality. If you believe yourself to be limited, you feel limited, and your world reflects that limitation. But these feelings are not facts. They are merely states of consciousness, and states can be changed. The key to transforming your financial reality is to shift into the feeling of wealth now, not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but in this very moment. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as already possessing great wealth. Do not simply see it, feel it. Feel the confidence that comes with financial freedom. Feel the ease, the joy, the absolute security of knowing that you have more than enough. How does it feel to know that all your desires can be fulfilled effortlessly? How does it feel to know that money flows to you in abundance? Let that feeling grow within you until it becomes natural. Do not force it. Simply allow yourself to relax into it as though slipping into a warm, familiar state. This is not make-believe. This is not wishful thinking. This is the divine law of consciousness at work. Whatever you accept and feel as true within, you will experience in your outer world. The secret is that you do not have to know how it will happen. The logical mind will always demand explanations, but wealth is not created through logic alone. It is created through assumption. Assume the feeling of already being wealthy, and life will arrange itself to match that assumption. The people, opportunities, and circumstances necessary to fulfill your state will come into your experience effortlessly, for they are drawn by the magnetic force of your consciousness. You have already seen this principle at work in your life. Think back to moments when you felt truly joyful or successful. Did not more joy and success follow? Likewise, when you have felt defeated, did not more struggles seem to arise? This is not coincidence. This is the law in action. Your feeling state is always creating your future experiences, whether you are aware of it or not. The difference now is that you will use this knowledge deliberately. You will take control of your state and dwell only in the feelings that serve you. At first, the outer world may contradict your inner assumption. The mind may try to deceive you with appearances, whispering that you are merely pretending, that nothing is changing. Ignore it. Persist in your feeling. Reality always takes time to catch up with consciousness, but it must conform. You are not subject to fate. You are the creator of your fate. If you can feel yourself to be wealthy, truly and deeply, without doubt or hesitation, then wealth must appear. It is law. Each day, make it a practice to return to this state of feeling. Let it become your new dwelling place. Walk, talk, and think from the consciousness of a millionaire, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence, not with desperation, but with certainty. And as you do, you will find that life begins to change in ways you never imagined. Doors will open where there were none before. Money will come from unexpected places. Ideas and inspirations will flow effortlessly. You will see firsthand that the feeling is the secret, and that wealth was never something you had to chase, it was something you had to become within. To live in the end is to assume with unwavering faith that your desire is already fulfilled. It is to abandon the notion of waiting, striving, or hoping, and instead fully embrace the reality of your wish as though it were already fact. This is not pretending, it is not daydreaming, it is the very process by which creation unfolds. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. If you persist in assuming the feeling of already being wealthy, then wealth must externalize itself in your life. Most people live in a state of lack because they assume lack. They look at their bank account, their debts, their limitations, and they accept them as the ultimate truth. But reality does not shape your assumption. Your assumption shapes reality. If you continue to identify with your current circumstances, you will only perpetuate them. To truly transform your financial state, you must mentally and emotionally dwell in the end result, feeling as though you already possess all that you desire. Ask yourself, if I were already a millionaire, how would I think? How would I feel? How would I move through life? What kind of choices would I make? You must answer these questions not with words, but with experience. Step into the state of being wealthy. Let it fill you completely. When you wake up in the morning, do so with the confidence that your wealth is secured. When you make purchases, do so with the assurance that there is always more than enough. When you interact with others, do so with the quiet certainty of someone who has already won. This is not about reckless spending or forcing physical actions. It is about internal transformation. Living in the end means that you no longer operate from a place of wanting. Wanting only reinforces the idea that you lack what you desire. Instead, you must embody the consciousness of already having. This shift may feel unnatural at first because the senses will tempt you to believe otherwise. Your mind may argue that you are being unrealistic, that you cannot simply assume wealth into existence. But this is only because you have spent so long reinforcing a different reality. Persist, and the new state will become natural. You must learn to trust in the unseen. Everything you have ever experienced was first an assumption within you. The home you live in, the job you work at, the relationships you have, all were first states you assumed as true, whether consciously or unconsciously. Your life is a series of externalized assumptions, and when you understand this, you gain complete control over your destiny. If you now assume yourself to be wealthy and persist in that assumption, then wealth must come, for reality has no choice but to conform.
The power of living in the end is that it eliminates doubt. There is no uncertainty in one who has already arrived. If a man knows he is wealthy, he does not question whether money will come to him. He simply operates from that knowing. And because he operates from that knowing, life reflects it back to him effortlessly. This is the secret behind all success. Those who achieve do so because they have already accepted their success as reality before the world confirms it. Each night, as you fall asleep, dwell in the feeling of being a millionaire. Let the feeling consume you as though you were drifting into a dream where it is already done. Each morning, carry that feeling with you. This is not a temporary exercise. It is a new way of being. The longer you persist in this state, the more natural it will become. Until one day, you look around and realize that the world has reshaped itself to match your inner assumption. That is the power of living in the end. Your senses will deceive you if you let them. They will show you a world that reflects only your past assumptions. And if you accept this illusion as truth, you will remain bound by it. To create wealth, you must learn to ignore the evidence of the senses and trust in the unseen reality of your imagination. What you see now is not a fixed reality. It is merely an echo of old beliefs, a reflection of the assumptions you have previously held. If you wish to change your life, you must look beyond appearances and persist in the assumption of already being wealthy, even when every outward sign suggests otherwise. Most people are ruled by what they see, hear, and touch. They look at an empty bank account and assume poverty. They see bills piling up and assume struggle. They allow these temporary conditions to dictate their inner state, never realizing that these conditions are only effects, not causes. The cause of wealth or lack is always within. If you continue to accept the evidence of the senses as truth, you will remain stuck in the cycle of limitation. But the moment you decide to disregard appearances and live from the feeling of already having what you desire, your world will begin to change. Think of the seed buried in the soil. When a farmer plants it, he does not dig it up each day to check for progress. He trusts the unseen process. He knows that beneath the surface, something is happening, even though his eyes show him nothing. In time, the seed will sprout, and what was once invisible will become visible. This is the same with your assumptions. When you assume wealth, when you persist in the state of being a millionaire, you are planting the seed of that reality. At first, the senses may show you no change, but if you trust the process and refuse to be swayed by appearances, the outer world must conform. You must learn to walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is not blind belief. It is the certainty that what you assume is already true, even if the senses have yet to catch up. Imagine yourself as a millionaire now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Feel the security, the confidence, the freedom. Move through life as though your wealth is already a fact. If doubts arise, dismiss them as you would a passing cloud in the sky. Doubt has no power unless you accept it as true. The key to transformation is persistence. The world will test you. It will present you with the same old conditions to see if you will react as you always have. If you do, you fall back into the same pattern and nothing changes. But if you refuse to accept these conditions as final, if you persist in your assumption of wealth, regardless of what your eyes see, then reality will begin to shift. The outer world is slow to catch up, but it must obey the inner world in time. Many people give up too soon. They assume wealth for a day or two, then look around, see no evidence, and declare that it isn't working. They return to their old state of lack, and so their world remains the same. But those who truly understand this law know that persistence is everything. They do not waver when appearances contradict their assumption. They know that what they assume will harden into fact if they refuse to let go of it. Let others be ruled by what they see, you will not. You will hold to the unseen reality within, knowing that it is more real than anything the senses report. In time, the world will conform, and what was once invisible will become visible. Wealth will appear, not because you chased it, but because you became it in consciousness first. And when it does, you will realize the truth, that the senses are nothing more than shadows cast by past assumptions, and that you were never bound by them at all. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between imagination and reality. It is not mere hope, nor is it wishful thinking. It is an unshakable conviction that what you have assumed to be true already exists, even before it is visible to the senses. To act as if you have already won millions, you must place faith above facts, belief above logic, and conviction above circumstance. What appears impossible to reason is inevitable to fate, for faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. Most people allow facts to dictate their beliefs. They see an empty bank account and declare themselves poor. They look at their debts and assume financial struggle. They consult statistics, economic conditions, and the opinions of others to determine what is possible for them. But all of this is a trap, a prison built by the senses. The external world is not the source of your wealth. It is merely a reflection of your inner assumptions. If you continue to believe in the facts presented to you by the outside world, you will remain a slave to them. But if you place faith above facts, if you assume the reality of your wealth, despite all evidence to the contrary, you will transform your life from within. Faith does not require proof. It is the knowing that what you seek is already yours. The millionaire does not question whether he has money, he simply knows it. His actions, his posture, his choices all reflect his inner certainty. And because he assumes wealth as his natural state, his world continues to provide evidence of it. Likewise, you must assume the feeling of already being wealthy, even when there is no visible sign of it. Do not wait for proof before you believe. Believe first, and the proof will follow. This is the great secret of manifestation. The world outside you must conform to the world within you. It is not a matter of if, but when. The only requirement is that you persist in your assumption. Many people fail because they allow doubt to creep in. They affirm their wealth one day, but when nothing changes immediately, they fall back into their old state of lack. They let facts overpower faith, and so their circumstances remain the same. But those who understand the law of assumption know that reality is slow to catch up, that every new state must be planted and nourished before it can bear fruit. Think of a tree. It begins as a seed, buried in darkness, unseen. No one questions whether the seed will grow. They know that, given time and the right conditions, it must. The same is true for your assumption of wealth. Once you assume it and persist in it, the process has already begun. The fact that you cannot yet see results means nothing, just as the seed takes time to sprout. Your new state must be nurtured before it manifests. Do not let impatience uproot what you have planted. Act as if you are already in possession of your millions. Walk with the quiet confidence of one who knows their wealth is secure. Make decisions from the mindset of abundance rather than lack. If you had all the money you needed, how would you think? How would you feel? How would you respond to life? Begin now to embody that state, and the world will rearrange itself to match your conviction. Faith is the highest form of intelligence, for it sees beyond appearances and trusts in the unseen. It knows that what is assumed in consciousness must be expressed in reality. If you refuse to accept facts as final, if you persist in the assumption of wealth, no matter what, the day will come when the world will be forced to conform to your belief. And when that happens, you will understand that it was never the facts that created your reality, it was always your faith.